I heard about this man who went to the bookstore. And I said, do you have that book, How to Solve 50% of Your Problems? Yes, give me 2, please. So, I want to talk to you today about give or take. Have you ever heard the expression, give or take? Yes. Which basically means that something is approximate, right? Give or take, more or less. But today I want to use that phrase in a totally different context. Okay? Give or take in a literal sense. Give or take. Right? Because I realize that those are opposites. Those are opposites. And those are two values that we can express in our lives. We could be givers, or we could be takers. And I mention this because in this week's Torah portion is going to be a very clear contrast between two very different personalities. One is a giver, the other one is a taker. Okay? Let's see who is who. It's actually right at the beginning of the parsha. As soon as we start the Torah reading, the very first word, before we even learn the name of this new character, right? Because what is the name of the parsha, this week's parsha? Korach. But that's not the very first word of the parsha. Usually, the name of the parsha is the first word, but not today. The very first word is va'ikach. Va'ikach, which means he took. It's interesting, because we are introduced to Korach, right? But before the Torah introduces the name, the Torah is telling us very clearly who is this man. And after we realize, the guiding principle of his life, then you can quickly realize that nothing good is going to come from him. It says, Va'ikach Korach. And Korach was a taker because he took. Now, it's interesting because the rabbis try to guess because it doesn't really say what he took. And you know what? It's interesting because, and I read many different explanations, all the way that, he took his social stature too seriously or, out of context. He thought that because he was coming from an important family, he was above everybody else. Another explanation, he took men, right? He was able to organize a little rebellion there, so he took men. But at the end of the day, to me at least, what he took is irrelevant. The most important thing for us to know is that he was a taker. That was the guiding principle of his life. And we also have the other character that is Moshe. And Moses represents all the opposite. He was a giver. And perhaps that's why he was the leader of the people of Israel. And I know, I feel very uncomfortable talking about this parsha with two politicians in the room. So I apologize in advance. Because every time we study the parsha Korach is for us to understand what is, a good politician and a bad politician. So when I saw the two of you, I said, no, not today. But it's because it's all about giving or taking. When Korach started the rebellion and went to complain against Moses, you're doing this and that, you think you're more than that. The first thing that Moses said, what have I done to them? I haven't even taken a donkey from them. Aha. You see, the first reaction of Moses, because Moses could say, what does he think he think he is, this Korach? I was the one talking to God. I'm the one who went to put my neck in the chopping wood talking to Pharaoh. No, that's not what Moses says. The things that when somebody is accusing you or something, then your reaction will tell a lot about what you believe, right? When somebody said, hey, sir, you gotta, have you ever been stopped, you were speeding or something, hey, sir, you were 60 in a 50 zone area. And then you said, you know who I am? You know who's my father? Right? No, not Moses. Moses said, Moses, who do you think you are? Why are you our leader? And Moses said, I haven't even taken a donkey from them. But Moses was saying, I dedicated all my life to give. I sacrificed so much for them. Have you ever read about Moses' wife? Moses' children? We know their names, but we don't know anything about them because Moses even sacrificed family time. That's why we don't know about them. He sacrificed family time, family relationships to serve the Jewish people because he was a giver. And on the other side, we have Korach, who doesn't care, doesn't matter what he took, because he was a taker, and he wanted to become a leader. When you are a taker, doesn't matter what qualifications you have, you're never going to be a good leader. A good leader has to be, above all, a giver. Somebody who will dedicate their life to the people that they are serving. That's the key in this week's Torah portion. And we also learn that Korach not only was a taker, he was so obsessed with material life, right, that the punishment from him was also very symbolic. You see, it says that the earth opened up and swallowed Korach and his followers. If you've been reading the Torah week after week, we will see that there were many other ways where God will send a punishment when God wanted to get rid of a few people. This is a very unusual one. Why will the earth, the ground, opened up and swallow Korach? Because we need to understand what the ground represents. The ground represents the material life. When your life is centered exclusively in material things, in the ground, and there is no connection with heaven, eventually, the Torah says very clearly, we get swallowed up by it. And that's how Korach ended his days. It's very symbolic and very interesting. So, there is something that I learned from here, is that the rebellion, to me, irrelevant. In fact, I believe that the spirit of rebellion is not a bad thing. Eventually, the Torah says that the children of Korach didn't die, right? To me, the children of Korach is not necessarily talking about the physical children. It's talking about the spirit, that spirit of rebellion that Korach brought. That's not a bad thing. That survived. That is, humanity needed generation after generation, because rebels are very good at looking around and discovering what is wrong, and they try to do something to correct that. That is good, but only if you are a giver. Only if you are a giver. Because if you are a giver, you rebel to get something better. If you are a taker, you rebel to get more. And that's why this parsha is teaching us what is the right attitude to have in life. If you're a leader or not. Maybe your leadership is at work. Maybe it's with your children that you want to teach them morals and values. There are many different ways of leadership, but everything starts with a spirit of giving. The me attitude, according to the Torah, belongs to Korach. That never ends well. So I was thinking that during summer times, many people call summer times me time, right? We take vacation, we take holidays. It's about me. And that's okay, maybe a little bit during the summer, but we have to realize that in general, in life, the me attitude is not the right one. The right attitude is, what can I do for others? Shabbat Shalom, everyone.